Welcome to Nike Pod Sessions. I'm your host, James Buford. Join us as we talk with Nike creatives about why they did it, what they did, and what inspires them to keep doing it here on Nike Pod Sessions. Today's guest is Juan Ávalos, Senior Product to License Designer at Nike. Where are you originally from, Mike? For people who don't know.
Yeah, I'm originally from Barcelona, Spain.
Okay.
And I've been spending most of my life here in Barcelona, but for the last 10 years, I've been just living in different places between, I would say, split it between Amsterdam for almost 4 years, and then now in Portland for almost five. But now with this COVID situation, lockdown, I spent a year back here in my town in Barcelona.
Wow. Did you? So when going back, I guess. What was your? Because I know for me, like I initially just going back, I was like, I don't feel like I'm gonna be out of work that long. Like I thought it was gonna be, super quick, and then fast forward to a year later, you're just like, oh wow, we're still. Was that your? What was your first impression, or like, what were you thinking, like just going back?
Well, absolutely. The situation was my wife was here before me, so we had planned for months that trip, and before the breakdown she was already in Barcelona. So, and then we all got the call just to go home and working from home, and then they were shutting down all the borders and possibly not being able just to travel. So I had just to make a really quick decision just to, from that Wednesday that we had that call from Nike, just to go home, just to, when I was just getting my tickets, getting packed, and just getting the house ready just to leave. That was a Saturday morning, which was just a crazy. Just in a matter of couple of days, I left, just thinking it was gonna be, as you said, like a full few weeks, a month, 2 months, max. And then here we are right now.
Did you take everything with you? Was it like, okay, I gotta bring things as though I might not be back anytime soon, or was it just like, because that's hard to just be like reacting and be like, okay, what do I need? Even the seasons, like it was summer, so being like, okay, winter is coming,
Oh yeah.
It's like, so okay, right. How long am I going to be away? And
yeah, you're making me now think about that moment, and it's exactly, I think it's almost how you picture everything. Is almost that moment when the house gets in fire, and then you have to take what's important, what's essential, and of course I needed like my, as usual, like the laptop and whatever, everything that was needed just to continue working for that period. For that month and a half. So just one bag full of hard disks, everything, just the mouse, the laptop, and all the equipment. And then on the other hand, it was just taking the most essential in terms of clothing. I mean, we're just trying just to go real basic, but then I was just trying just to save time because I had just to clean the house a little bit, the fridge, empty the fridge, all those things that we do when we normally live. But I was in my head just for a year, for a month. The plan was for a month, but then, it turned out it's just like it's been for way longer. But I remember, it was just kind of like a countdown situation where I remember the Friday before to flight, I bought the ticket at night. I was packing, cleaning everything at the same time just to leave because I had the flight early in the morning. So it was and then that day, it was the first day of snow in Portland in the whole winter. So that was back in March. And I remember getting in the plane. It was a one day of snow, really bad snow.
Yeah, I think I remember that day. Yeah.
So that day I was just getting in the plane on time, and we got stuck in the plane for 3 hours delay because of the snow. And then I remember like seeing people just leaving the plane. I was upgraded just to business because just simply the flight was empty. So I think everyone was just getting upgraded. But just the situation of the 3 hours waiting with all these kind of like the having to cross the world, going through New York to go back, and then not knowing if that decision was the best, was the because possibly could affect just returning, it could possibly could affect visas, possibly could affect jobs or life in general. And yeah, it was just yeah, just making a really really fast decision. It was just crazy.
Yeah. Would you how would you I guess like in terms of I think the point that you made about like making a quick decision, what would you describe another time in your life where you were like, okay, I gotta like figure this out like
Oh,
right now?
oh
What
yeah,
what moment would you say was a similar?
yeah. Everything I think I believe. I mean, that's taking me to another time. I think other top moments, but so that's taking me to another time with Nike.
Yeah.
And I think that's when we had the reorg from GFA in Europe,
Yeah.
and we got the announcement from leadership. I think it was April 9th, 2015, and all leadership came and they gave the announcement and said everyone just to go to their office spaces, and then we got the call, and then we got redundant. We got like the fire from Nike. That was a Thursday, Friday, and then yeah, Thursday, and I went home, just thinking, okay, I just got laid off, and I had my severance. But then right before I left that conversation, Stuart MacArthur, now as our VP, was part of that kind of like the two people that were in that room, just giving that severance, say, okay, we're gonna pause the jobs for the US, and I was just asking him, okay, this is just to keep us mellow during the transition, or just because you really believe we should do it or we should go for it? He said, no, no, you should go. So then over the weekend, I prep kind of like my portfolio a little bit and just trying just to understand the what's going on. And then next Thursday, I got like my job interview for that job, the same job in the US, just a week later of that layoff moment with Pete and Stu again. And the funny thing is, right after that interview, yeah, say, okay, yeah, you a day later you got the job, that's the offer, and you have 48 hours to think about if you come into the to America or not. So then it was another like moment that, hey, I have to go back to at the time my girlfriend and now my wife and say, hey, do you wanna change your life and move continents and go to the other side of the world? But by the way, you have 48 hours to think about it.
It's like a Mission Impossible.
Yeah,
Like you've
yeah,
got 48 hours. Like,
yeah, yeah.
do you feel like do you feel like in terms of just like reacting quickly, is that like something that you deal well with, or I mean,
I think at the end, I think is we all face situations, no? And at the end, you have to make a call
yeah,
on time. And I mean, and this is, I mean, these situations. I mean, maybe like the first one, just with COVID, I think it was more extreme. But and the other one, it was just because we were referring to when we had just to make a decision in a short amount of time. But the second one, I mean, it was more about making all these decisions. It wasn't just taking a huge risk because, I mean, of course, you go to the US. I mean, you take some risk on the personal side because adaptations and moving countries. But if doesn't work, you go back home. It's not like we are in another side of the world that we are like facing way worse situations.
yeah,
So I think at the end of the day, when the moment comes and with the information you have to make a call. And I try just to be as analytic as possible. And I'm not saying I'm the best, but when it comes the time, it just you have
yeah,
just to make a call.
you just gotta go for it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's a very I mean, I guess that's kind of a Nike's mentality too. I feel like a lot of people who end up at Nike are very there's gotta you just gotta make a call, and even if it's like the wrong call, it's like the fact that you made a decision is almost more important sometimes. Um,
absolutely.
yeah. What so in terms of like your early career or your early your college and art and design and fashion, like well how did you get into that world? Like, was it something that's always been there, or was it a new interest or something that was presented to you?
I mean, when I when I was a child, well, a kid, uh, my mom used to have a little room upstairs because my grandmother was living in Barcelona in the apartment upstairs. So we had my uncle, one uncle, and my grandmother is living upstairs, and my mom had one room, and she had kind of like the few sewing machines, and she was kind of like sewing for different people, and then she worked for different companies as a quality controller, and so it's been kind of like I've seen threads and I've seen fabrics and scissors all my life.
Yeah, you so your mom your mom was a quality control?
Yeah, quality controller for in fashion, and then and then later on she had kind of like the a little shop just also like the just to make like the surmesure, like the just to make some tailoring for and some kind of like the clothing, and then just also like the just fixing clothes and just a little
Yeah,
bit of everything.
yeah,
So and she was quite good, and she was self-taught and in that sense. And when I was a kid, I never like thought, oh, okay, I'm gonna do that. It's just because I saw my mom working long hours and
yeah.
having deadlines, and like it was
Stressful.
just really stressful and doing a lot of work and tedious and sewing, and then I wasn't never like, yeah, I'm gonna do that definitely. And it wasn't that attachment of like fashion at all. It was just pure production, and with a lot of art. I mean, because it was really really good. But and then I never thought about it until got the time to make a decision. And then I was attracted by identities, and my sister is 9 years older than me, and she was bringing magazines, and she was
Like
you know
high fashion type,
I
like
yeah, she
just
was bringing some clothing from Jean Paul Gaultier, so it was in the 90s. I had no clue, but I was just starting getting kind of like messages, and and she was,
yeah,
of course, as a young girl trying just to get the cool stuff and
yeah.
trying
She
just
just
to
wants the look in the just to be in the fashion world and like
exactly at that age. I
yeah,
mean, I was like 10, she was maybe like 19, 20. So I was just getting all these inputs from her. And when I grew up, I was just okay. I wanted just to do some design or graphic design. There's a lot of graphic designers in Barcelona, by the way. So I was like, I
yeah.
don't know. And then
Did you feel like graphic design was oversaturated, or
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
yeah? But do
And
you appreciated it? But it's like
hmm. Yeah, I think it was just that the sense I had, and it was architecture. I was trying to something just to be a builder and just making something.
yeah,
And instantly when you're young, I think just doing fashion design and all that is not something that really like comes straight away and is really like supported by your family. Hey, yeah, you're
yeah,
gonna get a fashion designer, or like you're gonna study fashion design. But for me it was kind of like a good place where the building, the pattern making, that architectural side, it was there. And then huge industry of textile in Catalonia happening, and then the side of the graphic design and marketing.
yeah,
So because I like just to do a lot of things, I like it the aspect of studying something that had kind of like a multiple approaches.
yeah,
So yeah, I think from that point, I mean, I was just curious about that, and when I started, I just love it because it was just doing all the homework and projects, and I would just full on immersed in the studies, and I really really enjoyed that. But I think it was just the progress and the through the history of from my sister and my mom, and that really like open up a little bit of that world, but not really like direct into that world. So we're just kind of a little bit fluid.
yeah. Would you so in terms of school and stuff? Was it something that you got into? Were you in kind of like art spaces in high school or middle school, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Do they even have high school, middle school in Barcelona? Is it
Yeah.
different? Yeah, I know education is different overseas.
Yeah. No, there's a, you say right at the time. I mean, now had changed. I mean, the plans, but yeah, high school, and when I was just getting to the high school, they changed the plan of studies, and but yeah, it was more difficult at that time just to get into the art school for the high school period. For we call it the last 2 years from 16 to 18 is like the more the specialty, and then you can get more like in science or more like like the in arts or like the different different parts of science, and you want just to do more mathematics or more for architecture, or you want just to go more into biology,
Yeah,
and and there's a lot of different specialties, but it was really difficult just to get into the art, so I went just to the math and didn't work really well. So I think it's the 2 years I had of pure failure of high school,
yeah,
uh, that I don't regret, because it was that time that made me kind of like direct my life into what I would really love. So yeah, high school, it was just total disaster for me, but then that opened up kind of like just the future, or like a future that I really enjoyed and that I love, and just getting to a place where I
yeah,
wanted to be.
yeah,
So but yeah, that wasn't easy, and also my family, they're amazing, they're great, but they didn't have the tools just to direct me into an art, or kind of like they have kind of like the family with the background just to support
yeah.
and just to give you guidance, and not regrets for them. It just is kind of, that was the kind of like the situation. So
Yeah, you just either you have, you know, family that's like kind of in that world, or you kind of just figuring it out as you go.
yeah.
Um, but I mean, in that sense, it's almost like similar to, you know, you've similar to going to Barcelona, you know, during the COVID-19 situation, or having to move to America and figure out the Nike job. Like
Yeah.
you're kind of like you're always going to be in those situations where it's kind of like you either gotta go with it and learn, or you kind of like, you know, you're kind of sitting. So I think
Exactly. Yeah, I
yeah,
think it's that all the tools that you have, I think that's taking me now into thing as well. When I finished studies and I was trying just to do in the fashion school all the different contests and all the different things,
mm,
I applied for one, and I was just handing over kind of like a project, and the graduation project at the end of the school, and that took me just to go to Paris as with an internship. And back then it was kind of like in a similar situation. I was sent to Paris, and I was just told I had to be there by certain time. But for the people that gave me the award, it was kind of like some sort of like in the institution of the Catalan government,
mm-hmm,
and they were giving me some money. So I'm not complaining about that, but there was no, because it was so new, no organization. So I had to be in Paris, and I went there and stayed with a friend of a friend for a week. And I remember like being my first week in Paris, and I had no apartment, no place to live, no place to stay. And I remember like just leaving the first Friday after 1 week, and that was a high season with the in Paris because it was January. Had to leave on Friday and go pick up my stuff because I had to find a place where to stay, and I had no place to stay. So I had to search and look with the internet at the time, 2008, for a hotel, and I go there.
did they have Craigslist back then,
I
or
don't
they just,
maybe I can't recall right now, but maybe yes. But I remember just looking at some browser and some engine just to find a hotel. And I
yeah,
remember paying like €50, $50 for the night, and it was not at the best or the nicest hotel in Paris. It was okay, and I remember calling my mom, family, and say, "Hey, I'm here," and I was fine. But just the adventure of it, just
yeah.
jumping into that adventure, and I think that's been a little bit of the scene of like when I move or translate to a new place and building all that experience, being kind of like the part of the experience, just not only in fashion, but also like the jumping out and into different places.
What so when you were in Paris, where um what how was the language, you know, like the language barrier, or you know, because you're coming from, you know, speaking Catalans or maybe English, or were you versed in French, or did you know any French?
That's a good one.
Or were you just like figuring that out too?
Yeah, yeah. I speak Spanish, of course, being from Spain, but the Catalan, the region is the closest region to France. So the Catalan is a bridge between French and Spanish. I mean, naturally, is the how the language evolved. The Latin from
So there are words that translate or kind of
yeah.
meanings.
Yeah, but I never studied French, so still French. I mean, the is not easy, and also the Parisian is they're not easy. So just to be in Paris, so I moved there with no knowledge of French whatsoever
Wow.
or any experience. So when I studied at school, it was more English, but of course I never put in practice, and everything in Spain is translated. So the movies and everything. Now having YouTube's and internet, just young people just can practice more different languages, but back then it was just we were more used just to have everything in Spanish, so just to even having the time to study the language I never practiced.
Yeah.
And then moving into Paris, I was working with a German half owned Japanese brand, and then it was quite international. It was mostly in English, but then the life outside of the internship was in French.
Yeah.
So, and I had a French roommate, a girl. She was
Hmm.
nice, so she was really helping with a lot of things in terms of like paperwork and all that stuff. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, the lesson is you always just survive. I mean,
Yeah, you'll make it. You'll
you
make
get
it.
exposed and you always make it. I mean, if you want to make it, I mean, you just expose yourself. You go to the place. I've heard. I mean, I know from knowing you, James, as well. You just live
Yeah.
similar situations. So yeah, it's just you want to picture where you want to be or what you want to do, and normally you don't have that final picture,
Yeah.
but everything that you do is just towards that kind of like end goal. and
Yeah.
uh, and this how you find your luck, how you find your way, how you find and to channel everything.
And people will be receptive to that too. Like, your roommate that you had. Once people see that you have that kind of like drive to either learn or you're trying,
Yeah,
they're more likely to create the space, and then you're moving, you're both moving. And the other cool thing is that we don't realize how cool we are to other people. So for your roommate, I'm sure it was amazing for her to be like, oh, got this guy from like Spain,
yeah,
and I've never, he's doing fashion, and so you're new as much as she's new to you. So it's
exactly.
you also have to be mindful, like, hey, you're unique to someone else in that moment.
Exactly. No, I think all these pieces, I think is a huge part as well of what I love about this job and the experience and the journey that I had. Is also like being able just to meet great people from so many places and from so many different nationalities, ethnicities, and experiences. Just a diverse and just group of people from everywhere.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like the I think that I enjoy the most of that journey. Not saying, oh, I live here and there. It's actually just the people, the experiences, and like learning the languages and how been evolving from that and still, but just being in all these moments and hearing about people, lives, and stories, and I
Yeah.
think this is kind of like the that journey and being part of that journey with all the people that I always was. I think before Paris, I remember clearly, and I can say it's just humble origins with families, like working class, not bad. I mean, I had a good kind of like the life with my family, but not like I could say, hey, I'm gonna go and study in New York or to France or whatever, and my parents would say, yeah, let's go. No, I mean, it was kind of like more challenging. But I remember like when I was studying fashion here in Barcelona, I was saying to my sister, yeah, I want to go to Paris, and I didn't know that was 2 years before I went.
Hmm.
But it's also like that way of picturing things. I think I was
Just saying. So you just mentioned it, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Just mention it because I said, yeah, I want to go there, or I want to where things happens, where the action happens. I want to be
Yeah.
just there, and
But you didn't have any intention at the
no,
moment. It was just like, hey, I'd love to go to Paris, but
yeah, it could be
we'll,
Paris, London. Yes, I think one of the main places where things were happening, or Milan in Europe. Just
yeah,
saying, okay, what's the place where everything happened? Of course, like the ambition is always Paris, but you don't know. I mean, I was 20, but I was
yeah,
just kind. I think just picturing that all the time,
yeah.
and having
The
that,
law of attraction, right?
yeah, willingness of meeting people and being in the scene with the people, and seeing things and expanding your horizons, and just seeing what's going on, and learning, and just
Mhm.
breathing, just being in the moment and being there.
Yeah, yeah. Being in the moment.
Yeah.
That's yeah. Um, I feel like a lot of us have been forced. That 2020 was like about being forced to be in the moment, almost
Oh yeah.
really, because like we I think we've all kind of slowed down. Um, what would you say, since we are being in the moment? Is there anything that you feel like you've been able to either pick up again, or something that you've been able to do that you maybe stopped doing or haven't given too much attention to? Are there new hobbies, or are there like rekindled hobbies
Mhm.
um, that are happening for you?
Yeah. No, I think, yeah, just adapting to this moment and situation and lockdowns, as everyone else. So I don't feel like they're unique. I mean, we all like they're just going through the same thing. But yeah, I think also like just looking back, I mean, or like the different New Year's resolutions year and over year, and what's kind of like what you're trying just to set up as a goal for the next year,
Yeah,
and actually achieve it. Um, I was just coming before that year for a period of couple of years where I was having some health problems with my back, and wasn't able just to perform and just do exercise, just not just to really pro, but just something just to vent out and just to do something. So, and then finally I was starting just getting a little bit better, and then I got just to go back to the bike and cycling. And here in Barcelona I just go to the surroundings, where I'm living now, when I'm staying now, and then spend a little bit of time. And there are some days I still feel some residual pain, but really, really, really mild. But I'm still able just to go, and I'm really dependent now just to go to that cycling to feel good and just to feel kind of like the strong. I think that's kind of like a good habit of from that lockdown, and also like a moment just for myself,
yeah.
just to
Are you just like cycling every morning type of thing, or
yeah, like
um,
every other day. It's just kind of every couple of days, and just go like just to the hills, and just for I normally try to do around 20 miles, between
wow,
20 and 25 miles,
yeah? So that's
and
like what a good. How long does that take you?
an hour and a half, because
Okay.
the first portion I do it uphill just to really work out, and then I
Yeah.
go just more just to the sea level where is the river, and there's a huge avenue just takes just to the sea in Barcelona, and then I can go back and forth, and that's flat, and then
Yeah.
I can make more like the distance there. But yeah, just to create that habit,
Do you
and
take
also like,
photos, or like what?
yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah, I have some photos from the kind of like the landscape of Barcelona.
Yeah. I'm sure
So
I'm sure. I mean, I've never been, but the way you describe it sounds really beautiful. Like,
yeah,
just like
yesterday I was going with the bike, and was with for one like a side road in the mountain, and then all of a sudden I saw like the 10 kids coming with horses in the middle of the nature,
yeah,
just I think maybe they were coming as an activity or something,
yeah,
and with someone just kind of like teaching, or I don't know, but just the horses there, and actually just getting close to the nature. I mean, the Mediterranean, not like the magnitude of the Americans, kind of like the
yeah.
parks or Oregon.
It's
It's just
not.
more
It's
like
like actual nature. Not
yeah,
not. I feel like I feel like America is all about like a park. Like it's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
they make it an event versus it being like
yeah.
natural nature.
And also like the size, the scale of it is just you go huge trees. I mean, the valleys and everything. Here was
Yeah,
just more like the hills next to Barcelona, small trees, and but that's more than Mediterranean landscape.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I created that habit, and I'm glad, and some other habits as well. After years of smoking, I was smoking way less for the last 3-4 years. I finally like made it, and I'm just being like a smoke free for the last 3 months. It's
That's
kind of,
amazing. Yeah.
so things like that. I think it's just trying just to find the positives in all that experience.
Yeah. 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 That's true. Um, yeah, I've definitely tried to use this time to do a little bit more yoga. Like my wife does a lot of yoga, like a lot, like every
That's
day.
great. Yeah.
so now I'm just like, okay, I'm starting to get into it. But very beginner yoga.
Mhm.
But it, I have her to like kind of tell me the right
Mhm.
positions and like do all that type of stuff. But
That's
um,
amazing. That's
yeah,
amazing.
it actually and similar to you, like just sitting a lot as at our computers and doing desk work. um, the physical is like something that's so important. I think I had back issues as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, the yoga helps, and just like going for walks, trying to get outdoors, and like I think we definitely I've gained an appreciation for nature. And
Hmm.
it's isn't it funny how like we're forced to be inside, which makes us appreciate outside now.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
so much like um sorry there there we go.
Yeah.
um yeah, there's like, yeah, just being inside I think made me appreciate outside more. um Now, like even just when you're out there, you're obviously out there for a purpose. So if I
Mhm.
do go outside, it's because I'm going somewhere. I can't hang out outside. So now it's like it's just more of a choice. Like you do everything you do now has like an I can't find the word, but kind of like a purpose, or there's a
Yeah.
meaning to like going out, and there's a
Yeah.
yeah.
It is
So
important. It is important just going out more than ever, especially you're like recluded now at home, and it's just that
mhm,
importance of like choosing that the time and what you're gonna do with this time.
yeah.
I think it's also like, especially here being in Europe or in Spain, where most people really like spend a lot of time outside because of the weather and because of like the culture.
Yeah,
And then right now, just I mean, just choosing all these moments, and with all the rules that we have, and like the timing, just to in depending where you are, but it's like the timing just to leave the house is I think it's just important, and also just to reconnect with the, as you say, like the Jane, with the nature, and just the importance
yeah,
of going outside and connecting with what's essential. And
yeah. Are you like a morning person, or do you like to just like get up and bike ride early, or are you kind of like whenever you have time?
I think whenever I have time, because
Yeah,
depending the day, right now I cannot say what type of person I am, not morning or night,
yeah,
because try just to follow all these. Uh, Most people like, yeah, all the teammates know. I mean, just like the working schedule in Portland. I
mhm,
just tend to set up some boundaries. But some days I finish earlier, some days I finish later. I need just to get better at that, just to kind of just setting up like boundaries.
yeah.
But I would just say, just in general, I've always been more like a night person.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Uh,
I'm the opposite. I'm like
yeah,
more morning.
but
Wow.
then it comes to a time I'm more like a morning. But when it comes just to being active, creating and doing things,
Yeah,
I feel that quietness, the quiet of the night, and I like it. Just having that sense of nothing is moving. I mean, there's a lot depending where you are, but things are quiet.
mhm,
So I like that calm. But yeah, just I'm not so strict with it. I'm not like definitely I'm like a night person. I stick to it. I
yeah,
mean, it comes and goes in different waves, different moments, but yeah.
yeah. Um, is there anything that you're like watching right now, or like kind of
Yeah.
routine that you have to kind of like just clear your mind, other than the bike riding and like,
Oh
are you?
yeah.
Are,
I just got really sick now with and this is as honestly not just because of like the podcast, just to
yeah.
have to be ready, but just into the horology and watchmaking.
Oh
And
yeah. Okay.
I never been, to be honest, until like the last year, interested whatsoever, or like really like owning anything or having anything. But then I started like just getting more and more interest about it, and I'm going deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
And I just watching a lot of like YouTubes and reading a lot about it, and I'm trying to understand that world. And I think just basically because of that kind of like the passion of for creating and building things.
Hmm.
and and of course there are a lot of layers and a lot of approaches to it, but it's actually, I think, just that understanding of how all these things in that scale get made, and all the details and the performance aspects, and also like the functionality, the form, the shapes, brands, histories, and also like how that relates to you and how that relates to people, because it's kind of like a piece that you wear and comes with you. And I like it a lot. Like I was from someone referring to the piece as a organ, as a living thing, almost. And of course, there are a lot of different things. I mean, just getting into that, the types of watches and objects. But it's I've been really absorbed by all this world
Yeah.
recently.
There's a I was watching a YouTube video of a guy who, so I've been into or at least looking into like 3D printing, and there was a guy who printed Tor, is it Tubalon or 2 billion?
Yeah, Tourbillon. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he 3D printed a big I guess version of a Tubalon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, he 3D printed a clock, and
Mm-hmm.
with all the gears and everything, and it worked. And so just seeing like a 3D printed mechanical object that just works with no
Yeah,
battery, it's just really interesting.
yeah,
Um, just how all those compartments come together. I mean, it's crazy amount of work, but
yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, time is so interesting. Like when you really think about like how humans have taken time and put it into a physical format,
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
like that crossover to like, I mean, even knowing that there's time, like
Oh.
animals, like, do animals know? Like, do they know? I mean, I'm sure they have like an internal clock or
Yeah, look at
um
the turtles, no? Like they come back, they just to put their eggs after a certain time to the same place. They have their internal
is
clocks
it
and
is it like
internal,
years, isn't it like years later, or like it's
yeah.
like, I mean, how
When
do they know?
or when it's time, they know. I think they have more. They have the internal clocks and they know it. I mean, for sure. I mean, like you're so right. I think just talking about. I think that's the aspect too. It's just so like the when you talk about horology and watchmaking, but also like the connection with the time and the importance as a what's the value of time,
Yeah.
and what's the importance of it. And I think that's also like another thing that maybe I don't know if it's because of age. Right now I'm 37, and maybe I'm just like thinking more. Maybe when I was younger I wasn't thinking that as much. I
Mhm.
mean, that's not like the norm for this, but I don't know. Maybe that's one of the reasons. I started like thinking about more about time and the timekeeping, and
Yeah.
then ways of having the timekeeping, and then maybe I just got more into the watches.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's one of the things that really makes you think a lot, and talking in more specifics of the automatic movements, and that they're like more outdated because it's really 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 old, and we don't need them because we have phones that really can tell us the time, and we
Yeah.
have tools just to give us all that information. But how still like people finds value
Mhm.
in that way of making and keeping time, and also like knowing that, especially with the automatic movements, talking about timing, is they are not as accurate as other like quartz or digital
Yeah.
the
So so
timepiece.
you're saying mechanical watches aren't as accurate.
Yeah, they are not as accurate. So
Yeah.
normally even just top watches, I mean, they have an kind of like they can lose like the couple of hours of seconds per day, or 3 seconds are like top watches, or like a
Yeah.
one they're certified chronometers, and then they're really good, but they still lose some time every day. For
Yeah.
example, I'm not just I'm gonna come here with such a super expert, but the Accords, they can tell you like it loses 15 seconds, 20 seconds per month.
Wow.
And then
So you have
a
to
top
calibrate it. You have to
yeah,
calibrate it every month, probably.
exactly. And a top notch automatic, I mean, loses 2 3 seconds 4 seconds more or less per day.
Mm.
So then, but there's a completely different approach, and each approach has his beauty. And when you're getting to these things, it's not about the value of what's more expensive or
Mm.
what is telling someone something, if you because you're just wearing that. And there's a lot of like pieces that I can start a conversation, but also I think it's what that conversation that you have. And I think also like the because of the choices that you make, and it's not about the expensive or cheap,
Hmm. Hmm.
is telling things about yourself too. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and that thing I think is super interesting.
Yeah. 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 I think yeah, time is definitely it is they say that time is the truest currency
Oh yeah,
because
yeah,
it's the one thing that we're all losing and we don't know how much time it's the one thing we know and we don't know really because we
exactly,
know we know what time it is but we don't know how much time we have so
exactly,
so
exactly.
it's like it's a really interesting um yeah idea what so when you think of I mean speaking of time when you look forward I guess to the future and
Mhm.
you say like what are your goals and aspirations for like to do with your either personal work or life or how are you looking at the future time I guess
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good
yeah
one, and especially like
I
yeah,
had I
to
had
put
to I had to save that one for the last question the hard one for the last question right
yeah, yeah. It's a good one. Right now with all this uncertainty, just looking at the future and how we are like thinking or rethinking about what we knew and what we wanted, or what's important, what's not important. I think maybe at this time, at this moment, after all these years, pursuing just to achieve certain things in a career, or like the just trying just to have all these experiences, not obsess in a way just to get to a point, but just trying just to enjoy that journey. And then right now I think just continue like in a similar way, knowing that I cannot control many things, and trying just to live each moment and not getting too obsessed about the future, and just trying just to be really like present. I think that's important, but also like knowing where you want to be, what you want to do, and in the future, just to have that goal. I think because I think that's so important, just to continue like channeling, as I said before, like the that way that's kind of like the life into a place. And then now having my parents just getting older, I mean, also that makes you reflect a lot and value every single moment. So, but I think in the future, I think I will continue just doing similar things and trying just to be a positive influence for everyone is around me. And
hmm
I think that will always will feed in a positive way others, but also will help me just to get to all these places. I think continue exploring ways of making. I love just to do stuff, if it's just cooking, or if it's just building a jacket, or if it's just, I don't know, building a house, whatever it can be. I think just to keep busy, trying to explore ways of and learning new things. So
yeah
maybe try at somehow some point in my life trying to do some music with whatever, and maybe if it's the most basic instrument, but
yeah
just trying just to learn new things, and trying just to be happy and just be search for happiness or whatever it is at that time, at that moment.
Yeah.
And yeah, and keep breathing because like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
world is just throwing at us really hard things year after year. But yeah,
Yeah. It's
that's
just the
the world we created, no? Just
yeah, yeah. The it's the a workout. The life is a workout right now. It's
wow.
like you said, it's throwing things at us, and we're like, obviously, I mean, we're here, and we're gonna keep pushing forward. But it's just like it's a part of life, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Right, right. But yeah,
It's a journey. Just looking at that journey and trying just to live every single second and
yeah,
moment.
yeah.
And sometimes we
Just
get
stay
too stressed.
present.
Yeah, we get too stressed about work and of course there are certain things and we get like making all these questions. Okay, what am I gonna do with my life? What's next?
Yeah,
Individually, in the family. I mean, we just
yeah.
asking about everything every single time.
Yeah, and you're missing. I mean, when those, if I find like, a lot of times when you're so stressed, you look back and you don't even remember the stress. A lot of times, you don't remember the stress. You kind of remember either what came out of it or what you got from it or how you grew from it. So I think sometimes it's just like you said, just to stay present and know that it's a part of the process, but just know that there's something good there that you're taking with you um, for the future. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely, absolutely, and especially now the world, the isolation and everything. It just the life in general. I think the speed. I think is also of things of the planning, and I think things are going really really fast. I mean, in the past, people was having a life and they were having certain interactions a day and they were doing certain things and having certain amount of visual impacts
Hmm.
uh, per day or per hour and capturing certain information or just behaving or doing a thing in like more repetitive way every day or not. But right now we are multitasking. Everyone is multitasking, just with phones, with information
Hmm.
inputs. Everything just goes super fast. So
Yeah.
how we process all these things and we plan and we stay mentally healthy through all these
Yeah.
periods is just super super important.
Yeah. It's time to we have to like just slow down. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think this is like, yeah, the perfect. I mean, it's two sides to it. It's a terrible situation to be in, but it also is like the biggest learning. The 2020. I feel like I learned 20 years worth of information in 1 year.
wisdom,
Just
no?
yeah, just years of. I keep saying like we're gonna tell our grandkids, like it'll be, people talk about the war and like we'll say, oh, 2020, that year, or like
Mhm.
I think, till they don't want to hear about it anymore. That'll be the year we talk about.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I think it's
um,
gonna stick forever. I think for so
yeah.
many, and I think it's just like a war, no, that sticks in the brain and the mind of different generations, and
Yeah.
they'll live that at different levels and the different. Just for us, we are at certain age and we have a professional career right now, but then some. What about the teenagers and the kids,
Mhm.
and as a group, how is this affecting them
Yeah,
and
friend
how?
making and relationships and
Yeah.
dating and graduating and
Oh,
proms and
everything exactly.
yeah, yeah,
And how this is going to affect everyone. And for sure we will just survive to this and we will continue. And I hope we continue like messing less with the planet and we continue like messing less with certain aspects
mhm.
and we'll see like by like looking like the news and how the world keeps kind of like behaving by certain individuals.
Yes,
Yes, still is a lot of work to do, but that's kind of like the situation that we're facing. I mean, still a lot of work to do, still a lot of like the just things to achieve, and still like the we still need just to do a lot of things just to
yes,
to be better. And I think that that's a good thing, and how you do it in your like small kind of like the ecosystem, or like the what people is around you,
Yeah.
but then also like the how you're affecting a different way, just to be more positive and more like a positive influence, and be better.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good way to end this. Yeah. Positive influence, how to be better. Yeah,
That's great.
in a small way. Yeah. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
we all have work to do. So
Yeah, yeah, keep going. I mean, just I think that's great. Just all this conversation, James. I think I really enjoy it.
yeah, this is great. I'll have to send you some of those. I've watched a few watch videos, and there was another one with a guy who he was
Mhm.
making watches by hand. You might have
Yeah,
already seen it, but
Roger
he
Smith, maybe. Roger Smith is a guy, English guy. That
no, this guy is from I want to say he might be Taiwanese.
uh-huh.
But he's like he's literally like cutting all the gears with like
Yeah,
a microscope, and like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like a maybe 40-minute documentary.
Okay.
But I'll send you might have seen it, but I'll send it along anyway.
Yeah, there's one
Um,
guy I think is similar. The one I refer is called Roger Smith, and he's just it comes from just from the another watchmaker that is no longer, I mean, alive, but is George Daniels, and they
okay.
comes from a school of like making watches, one guy from the start, from the beginning to the end, just making the whole process.
Wow.
And and yeah, and they have their kind of like the method and process and way of making, and their kind of like philosophy towards that process.
Yeah.
So just check it out as well. I think I find it super super interesting, and that guy is making a lot of complications and just inserting a lot of complication, but he's trying just to find ways as to have more complications but making them more effective,
Yes.
and just making those in less steps, and with less friction. And
Okay.
just the process of that guy as well. There's a lot of like bunch of YouTube videos that are super super interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll send it along.
Yeah, send it
Yeah.
over. I mean, I just love all this content right now. So
Cool. Cool.
I
Same
thank you so
here.
much.
We have plenty of time, right? All right, Juan. We'll talk soon.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, James,
Yeah.
for
Thank
the
you.
interview.
Take care, man.
Take care, James.
See you.
Bye bye.
This concludes our first episode of Nike Pod Sessions. Thank you for joining us, and join us next week when we talk to Peter Fong, Senior Designer, 4D.